Hey everyone, happy fall. It is starting to feel a little less like summer with a little more rain and cloud cover. So I wanted to give you a fall market update. What is going on in the housing market here in our South Puget Sound area? So wanted to look at kind of the big picture first is we are still in a time of historically low listings coming to the market, right? So the number of listings, I was just looking at this chart for Southeast King County. Normally there's between 700 and 900 listings that come on the market in August. This year, 499. Okay, so the number of new listings has been coming to the market every month this year has been significantly down from normal. So we have that coupled with interest rates that are now, in the 7.25-ish range, right? So that definitely is having an effect on the market. So let's take a look at a few things. So let's look at why. Okay, so first, why do we have only 499 homes coming on the market in Southeast King County last month? Well, the biggest reason is, like we've talked before, many people who are currently own a home, they're sitting there, they've refinanced for the last 3 or 4 years. They have a rate in the 2s, 3s, maybe the 4s. And when they're looking at rates in the 7s, that's a significant bump up. So they've decided to just stay there, remodel the home, whatever they're going to do, and stick it out there a little while versus move up to an next home. So that keeps their home off the market. So you don't have any, very little moving up happening in our market. So that's definitely the biggest reason for the lack of inventory as far as homes coming on the market. So, and then obviously the rates are affecting that as well. So let's look at the next part of that is how long, okay? Well, I don't know. If I had a crystal ball, that would be awesome, but I don't. But rates are where they're at now. It's funny, over the last couple of years, we're seeing rates do what they've done. Every economist has this, idea. They think they have it pegged. Oh yeah, rates are going to be at, I remember reading something earlier this year, rates are going to be, in the 5s or under by the end of the year. Well, here we are, coming up on October, and we're over 7. So who knows? We don't know. I don't know. It is what it is, so we deal with it. So we need to look at and say, okay, how do we help our clients win in this market? Okay, so I wrote down a few things for our sellers and a few things for buyers of how to win in this market and things to know. Okay, so first, sellers, you need to know that this low inventory has kept prices from falling. Okay, when you have affordability really being affected the way that it has been with rates going up, the only reason that prices haven't come down is because the supply is so small that there's still so much competition for the lack of supply. So that is a huge thing that's really helped our prices continue to remain strong is the lack of inventory. For a seller, you need realistic expectations, okay? So we're in a market where, in, say, Southeast King County, the, 500 to 750 price point. I think the last number I saw was something in the 65 to 70% of the homes are still selling in the first 30 days. Okay, so that's down from what we saw a couple years ago, right? We were seeing 80 to 90% selling in the first 30 days. So we need realistic expectations. Okay, as a general rule, the days of bidding wars and stuff are behind us. Okay, so you need some realistic expectations about what do I need to price my home at. What's my home need to look like, and what kind of activity I'm going to get, okay? So realistic expectations. And then the house needs to look good, okay? So one thing we're hearing from our buyers is buyers are feeling like strapped for cash, right? So they're having to come in and pay, top dollar for the home because prices haven't really come down. The rate's high. Their mortgage payment is way higher than what they were hoping to be, right? So they're saying, hey, I don't have the money to come in and buy this house and then do all the painting and the carpet and, the clean up the landscape and all that. So their buyers are really drawn to homes that are more move-in ready now, more so than we've seen the last couple of years. So if you're a seller, you got to get back to making your home shine, even though there's a lack of inventory, right? So you don't have as much competition, but buyers are a little strapped on cash. So you need something that is attractive to them. They're excited about moving into it. If they're going to pay their premium pricing and high payment, they want to make sure that they're getting what they want. The other thing on the realistic expectations there is many buyers in this market are asking for a credit from the seller to help buy down their interest rate. Okay, so there's something called like a 2-1 buy down, for example, right? So what that means is, say their rate's 7%. Okay, if you do a 2-1 buy down, your first year your rate is 5%. Your second year your rate is 6%, and then the third on is going to be at the 7%. So many buyers are taking advantage of that to help make the house more affordable now, right? And with the plans of being able to refinance over the next couple of years to get that hopefully into a lower rate on their permanent 30-year mortgage. So as a seller, just know that there's a good chance you're going to be negotiating some closing cost credit with the buyer to help them do that. One thing that's interesting is most loan programs, a buyer can't pay for a temporary loan buy down, like a 2-1 buy down. It has to come in the form of a seller credit. It's just the way the lending industry is set up. I don't completely understand why, but that's how it is. So that's a few things for you as sellers. Buyers, okay? Less competition, okay? So there's less buyers in the market right now, which is great. The problem is there's also less inventory. So you're having to compete for those. But as a general rule, especially as we get into the fall market here, we're seeing less competition. We have 3 or 4 buyers that we got under contract this last week. Most of them have been looking for the last 6 months to a year, but they were finally able to make an offer, get it accepted, and actually they were able to get some closing cost credit paid. I know one of them got a new roof installed by the seller, so there's definitely some incentives there. Persistence is important as a buyer. Like I said, it takes some time. There you have to have some patience as well, right? Because you don't have a ton of new listings coming to the market every week. It's gonna just take some patience to wait for that right one to come. The other thing too is you need to make sure you're working with an agent who's helping you find off-market properties. Okay, so like for example, we have a buyer looking for a specific neighborhood in Puyallup. So last couple weeks ago, Jeff, our buyer's agent, was out there with a little flyer knocking on every door in this neighborhood that back to this green belt that the buyer wanted to live on, right? So that we can try and find some inventory before it comes to the market. Okay, so you need to make sure you have a good strategy to try and find that inventory. One thing for you to know as a buyer is sellers, especially when we get into this time of year, sellers that have their home on the market in the fall, there's often some good motivation, right? So you might have an easier time of negotiating the closing cost credit, maybe some terms that are more favorable to you as the buyer, just because the seller does not want to typically carry that home through the winter, have it on the market all winter. Most of the time, this time of year, sellers are saying, I just want to get gone. If they're, clients I'm thinking of right now, like moving across the country, they don't want to move across the country in the middle of winter. They want to get going, so they definitely have some more motivation. So that's something that definitely works to your advantage as a buyer. And then, as a buyer too, as you're looking at, payments higher than what you wanted, prices aren't coming down. Remember, play the long game, right? Real estate has been a great investment. It will continue to be a great investment. That's one of my regrets, is that I didn't buy even more real estate when I was younger. But think about the long game, right? 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road, you are going to be very happy that you purchased the home. Okay, it's gonna do well for you in the long run. So that's a quick update here for the fall market update. Let us know how we can help you in any way, and have a great fall.